I said something very simple and non-controversial, and Donald Trump said I should be hanged, executed, prosecuted. Pete Hegseth said I should be court-martialed. I mean, how ridiculous is this? We say follow the law, and this is their response. These are not serious people. We're sticking up for the Constitution here and the rule of law, and they're saying these folks should be executed for doing that.
So that was Arizona Senator Mark Kelly on NBC's Meet the Press, as the Pentagon is currently investigating him for this video recorded with other Democratic lawmakers urging service members to disobey what they call illegal orders, though never failing, to point out which orders they are referring to. Kelly appearing unconcerned by threats from President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, dismissing both as unserious people. That from the senator. Kelly saying this: the reaction to the video he and other veterans serving in Congress made is ridiculous. Adam Guillette is here, the president of Accuracy Media. Our Pallaby is a Republican strategist, both joining us now. Thank you both. We do appreciate that. Adam, can I start with you? Just reaction to Senator Kelly. He's doubling down on Meet the Press over the weekend and really has some choice words, calling them not serious people, the president and the Secretary of War.
Well, I think Kelly is virtue signaling, and he laid out a trap for the Trump administration, and Trump fell into it. Members of the military already know that they can ignore illegal orders. This was just virtue signaling to their base that was disenchanted after losing the shutdown battle. Any Democrat who's unpopular amongst their base knows that if they can pick a fight with Trump, and if Trump fights back, they'll suddenly be a hero. Well, the Trump administration fell for that trap. They responded to it. Now Kelly gets far more media attention than he would otherwise to fight a silly, meaningless battle. Rather than virtue signaling, we should have serious discussions about constitutional restraints on the executive.
Yeah, and Arif, I'll go to you on this one. Control room, it's double B03. There was another part of this interview that Senator Kelly, he was pressed on whether he would refuse orders if he was still in uniform. Listen to his response.
It puts a lot of burden on the troops to make a decision in real time.
It puts a tremendous amount of burden on officers in the military, but that is their responsibility, and they can figure out, a reasonable person can tell something that is legal and something that is illegal.
So would you refuse these specific orders to strike drug boats if you were still in uniform?
Well, the difference between the initial strike and what is being reported, as a second strike, and those things are different. I think this administration has tied themselves in knots.
Arif, what is happening here in this moment? Is he answering the question? I mean, he put a video saying disobey, don't follow illegal orders, but seemed to be backpedaling at that moment.
Yeah, it's called the Arizona two-step. If you've not seen it before, it's pretty well done by Mr. Kelly. Think of it this way. Mark Kelly is in a purple state, and he's acting the same way James Comey did when he saw those seashells magically appear on the beach that said 8647. It's like, what, me? No, I just stated the obvious. It was just something simple. I walked down the street, walked down the beach. This is what I saw. He's trying to make it sound like he just asked the time of day. Mark Kelly knows better. He's an officer that really served with distinguished ability, apparently, but now he's afraid for his political career and apparently doesn't understand what the military is all about these days with stopping an invasion of drugs.
Yeah, we'll see if, again, there are pursuits by the Secretary of War in terms of holding him accountable. Does that actually play out? We'll wait and see. I want to switch to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, if I can, because he's firing back now at President Trump's accusation of incompetence and dodging responsibility for failing to stop fraud. This in Minnesota. So prosecutors say this scheme in Minnesota involved more than $250 million in stolen funds from a federally funded child nutrition program, resulting in more than 50 convictions so far. Many from Minnesota's, I know, unbelievable. Many from Minnesota's Somali community. Listen to this.
Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail, but that's Donald Trump. Deflect, demonize, come up with no solutions. He's not going to help fix anything on fraud. My God, there's a big difference between fraud and corruption is something he knows about.
And then before we get your reaction, President Trump, he was asked about his previous comments on the governor, a reporter asking him if he stands by his claim of calling Tim Walz a derogatory word. We won't say on air. Here's that.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
But you don't think that
you have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into his state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
And aside from that, remember, this was a VP pick by Kamala Harris from the Democrats. And now all this is unfolding and coming out in this time in the state of Minnesota. And Adam, when the governor was pressed on it, the first thing he did was talk about Donald Trump. Why?
Yeah. Well, of course, they always want to pick a fight with Trump because their base loves it. We should have already known the intellectual prowess of Walz might be limited when he agreed to be on the ticket with Kamala Harris. There is a thankless, dead-end, short-term job if there ever was one. But again, this speaks to the dangers of big government programs, whether on the state level or federal level. Because even if you like the president in charge of passing these programs, the folks who administrate and execute these programs are ultimately corrupt, inept, foolish bureaucrats. We saw the same thing on an even larger scale under both Trump and Biden with COVID relief funds. And that's why whenever we see any kind of big government spending program, regardless of the problem it purports to solve, regardless of whether it's federal or state, we should be incredibly skeptical.
All right, Adam Guillette joining us and Arif Halaby. Thank you both. Great to see you. We do appreciate it.
Great to see you. Thanks.